Hello and welcome. In this series of videos I shall continue my look at the railways of Norfolk, and I shall be now looking at the old Great Eastern Railway line from Windham, yes that's the correct pronunciation, to Wells-on-Sea on the coast. I shall look at the history of the line and also look at what is left now. In 1846, a junction with the Norwich and Brandon railway line at Windham was opened as far as Dereham, about 11 miles to the north, by the Norfolk Railway. And in 1857, the Norfolk Railway extended this line to Fakenham, about another 12 miles to the north. The Norfolk Railway then declined to extend any further, so a separate company, the Wells and Fakenham, completed the 10-mile line from Wells down to Fakenham in 1857. The final extension to the harbour was opened some time after 1859. After various amalgamations involving all the different companies involved with the line, the completed line was absorbed by the Great Eastern Railway in 1862. So our line starts at Windham with a virtually 90-degree junction with the first main line from London to Norwich, which opened in 1845 under the management of the Norfolk Railway. This station consisted of 2 platforms, sidings either side and each end of the station, 2 signal boxes, a goods shed, turntable, cattle pens, footbridge and a railway hotel. And here we have the roadside of the building now, obviously dominated by car parking. A beautiful flint-faced building built in 1845 for the opening of the line from London to Norwich, and a large goods shed. Here's another view. Fine building, but I'm not sure whether it's in use now, but very impressive, and of course the usual graffiti. And this is a view from the footbridge looking towards the Wells line, which deviates on the right hand side, and one of the signal boxes now disused, and that's looking towards Thetford and London. And this is the other way, 2 platforms. This is looking towards Norwich. Main station buildings on the downside and the smaller buildings on the upside, with a line running round the back. Not actually a platform face on that other side there, just the 2 on the main line. End of the fine station buildings and the footbridge in the background. Very lovely footbridge, well preserved, but unfortunately people are complaining because it doesn't allow access for people with disabilities. And that's Windham. After leaving Windham, the line now generally heads north up to Wells. And the next point of interest is where the line crosses Cavick Road by this level crossing. Now, the Mid-Norfolk Railway, which is a heritage railway, runs trains from here to Dereham, and they have got this signal box from Spooner Row, which was one stop from Windham on the line to Ely, and they put it here because they need somewhere to use for signalling purposes, as they use this area as a run round, which is in the distance there, for their locomotives, because the trains terminate here at this station, which was built in 1999, and it's named Windham Abbey after the 12th century abbey which is nearby, and this is their southern terminus, although they can still connect to the main station. The next station is Kimberly Park, but before that we have 3 bridges. This is where the B1135 crossed over the railway line. Just some rusty old parapets and brickwork, rusty railings, and that's looking through the railings towards Windham, and that's looking towards Wells. Now the next bridge is Cranthorpe Road. This is looking towards Windham. This bridge at that time was not in use because of the decking was in a poor state, and that's looking towards Wells. So trains were not using this part of the line. But it has now since been repaired, and they are working obviously the full length of the line. The weather by now was starting to take a turn for the worst, as you can see, and this is looking towards Wells. There we are, looking towards Wells that way, and that's Cranthorpe. And this is the road to Winklewood. This is looking towards Windham, and that cutting, and this is looking towards Wells, northwards. And this is just another shot of the bridge and the wing walls and the rusty parapet. So now let's move on to the next station. The line now starts climbing to a small summit halfway between here and the next station. This is Kimberly Park, formerly called Kimberley, but to avoid confusion with a Kimberley in Nottinghamshire, the park was added. Here there was a double track, 2 platforms, and the main station building and signal box being on the downside, along with sidings and a head shunt. And on the north side is a level crossing. And this is the station now. Obviously we're on the level crossing. This is looking back towards Windham, and that's the down platform with the main station buildings. Nothing left of the upside buildings. Here's the level crossing looking towards Dereham and Wells. On the other side of the level crossing there were some sidings for some new stock that the Greater Anglia was introducing, and the Mid-Norfolk very kindly stored them for them. This is the roadside of the station. Fine building, flint faced, and this is on the down platform looking back towards Windham. The station is now a private residence, but the owners, who actually invited me in to look round, have spent a lot of time and expense to make a very sympathetic restoration of the building, and it does really look fantastic, considering how it must have looked after closure in 1969. Next we come to where the B1135, the Norwich Road, crosses over the railway here at Danemore Green. This is looking towards Wells. Fine bridge this, with large brick wing walls, dark brick abutments. That's looking towards Wells. And this is the other side of the bridge, and that's towards Windham. Now let's move on to our next station. And the next station is Hardingham. 2 platform faces, main building on the downside, the building similar to Kimberly Park. Also on the downside, signal box and waiting rooms were on the upside. Also sidings and cattle pens. There was also a goods shed built peculiarly at right angles to the running line, but a wagon turntable allowed access to it. The station is now privately owned by a railway enthusiast, and all vehicles that we will be seeing here are also privately owned. The station is on a 1:141 gradient, one of the steepest on the line. So this is a view of the station now from the road. I didn't go any closer as it says private. Trains on the Mid-Norfolk Railway don't normally stop here anyway, so I've got some better shots from the train. So here are some shots from the train as we enter Hardingham station, heading towards Dereham. All this equipment, sheds, rolling stock are in private hands, nothing to do with the Mid-Norfolk. No sign of the goods shed, which was at right angles to the running line, just some new buildings and a new signal box. The original signal box was at the other end of the station on the other side. And then you get a look at the buildings, nicely restored. And that's Hardingham. And here's another aerial view of the station. As I said, the signal box is not in the correct position as it was, and there's no sign of the goods shed. And here's a shot of the station either just before or just after closure in 1969. And just after the station we have this overbridge carrying the railway over Mill Road. Lorry drivers, watch out for your height. So the next station is Thton, just serving a very small village. Here there were two platforms, a station building on the down platform and one siding and a head shunt. There was a level crossing at the south end and the signal box was at the north end on the upside. And here's an old picture of the original station. And now we'll have a look at actually what's left now. Well, it has been restored. That's a new signal box. The lever frame from that was formerly in the Seven Sisters box in North East London. And the station house on the downside is now a private residence, as are a lot of the old station houses. That's looking towards Wells. We're obviously on the level crossing now. There's the station house. Very fine building, small canopy. The original canopies were removed after closure but have been replaced. And as I say, that signal box is new, but with a lever frame from an original signal box. Been very lovingly restored, and I think you'll probably know what that is. That's a tablet catcher. That's on the downside opposite the signal box, and that's the new signal box. Now we'll continue on towards Wells. Not long after leaving Thton, as we climb up the gradient towards Yakom, we come across Garstone Town Lane level crossing, pictured here in the early days. There's a fine railway house in the background there, and this is what it looks like now. I was trying to film it in the pouring rain, so it wasn't very successful. So here's good old Google, and that's what it's like now. There's the house and there's the crossing. So top of the bank from Thton is Yakom, a very similar station, two platforms with waiting rooms etc. on both platforms. There were cattle pens, goods shed and sidings on the downside to facilitate the large number of farms in the area, as we've mentioned before. A level crossing to the north of the station along with a tall signal box on the upside. It was tall to allow the signalman to see over the station buildings. And this is what we find now. It's all been again lovingly restored. It's used by the Mid-Norfolk Railway. Just a single line through there now. That's looking back towards Windham. You can see there, or you will do in a second, the tall signal box which allowed the signalman to look over the canopy. And in the, that's the station house, and in the other direction there were some granary buildings on the downside to the north of the level crossing, just to the left hand side there where those flats are now. And that's Yakom. And now we come to one of the main stations along this line, Dereham. This station occupied a large area of rail lines and sidings. To the south of the station was a triangular junction with the line to King's Lynn via Swaffham to the west. The whole area boasted no less than 4 signal boxes. Within the triangle were some allotments, but there was also an engine shed and turntable. The station had 2 platforms plus bays. A footbridge connected the platforms. A second footbridge was provided to enable pedestrians to cross the line when the level crossing, which was just north of the station platforms, was closed. The main station building was on the downside. There were 2 goods sheds, one adjacent to the upside platform and one to the north of the level crossing, together with cattle pens. Also in the area were malt houses served by the railway. This is Dereham Central Signal Box. The line curving to the left there is the King's Lynn line. And there's a brush type 2, or as we now call them class 31s, leaving with some freight wagons from the station area, which is on the left. So this is the station now. This is the main station building and the main entrance on the downside of the station. And here we have the level crossing and the north signal box, which by the way was originally at Lowestoft. That's the station area there, and this is looking towards Wells and the next level crossing. Dereham is the northern terminus of the Mid-Norfolk Heritage Railway line, although there are plans to continue further northwards. That is looking back towards Windham, and this is a view from the main platform of the siding, and some of the locomotives that the Mid-Norfolk have got under their care now, and that's looking back towards the main station and the goods shed there on the background. And here we are leaving the station. I'm just showing this so you can see some of the other features of the line. You might just make out there's a big goods shed, and there I don't know if you can see them. No, not yet. We're just leaving the platform heading south now. It's a big station. Some lovely facilities there, a nice cafe and the shop, and they've got a vast amount of rolling stock. There's the central signal box, which was originally at Stratford South Junction in London. A nice pannier tank there, class 47, various diesels and coaching stock, some others covered up. Vandalism is a big problem at a lot of these heritage lines now, unfortunately. So that's as far as we'll go in part 1. In part 2 we'll head on up to Thton. So So see you then.